Welcome back, guys. I trust you've been staying safe. Now, today's true crime story is another crazy one, and it's coming from the United Kingdom. And it's about the honey trap killers, so to speak. It's about how a 33-year-old man was targeted from social media because he posted two Rolex wristwatches, and he was then targeted by two ladies, or let me say, a gang of honey trap killers who felt that based on the affluence that seems to be around this man per the post that he had put out, they were going to trap him with this honey trap trick and then rob him of it and any other wealth that he has around him when they get to see him in person. This case came up just a few weeks ago, and the trial has also ended as well. And it involves two ladies and two guys. Unfortunately, the victim will end up losing his life. He is a father of six, and it's one of the emotional stories that I've ever come across. If you are ready for this true crime story, just buckle up and let's go. Now, before we get into our video for today, kindly support our ongoing campaign against femicide by going to the comment section and just type in "say no to femicide" or hashtag "stop the femicide." Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to help our efforts and also promote our content out there so that this campaign can reach a lot more people. Now to today's story on the honey trap killers. First of all, I think it would really help if I'm to define what honey trap is. So, per the dictionary, honey trap is a strategy in which an individual person entices another person into revealing information or doing something unwise. You will understand it in practice very soon. So, as has played out in this case at hand, the honey trap, as is usually done, would mostly be a lady, a beautiful one at that, trying to charm her way into a man's space so that she can be able to entice this man into revealing information or doing something unwise, mostly for financial gain or maybe to blackmail or for other reasons best known to them. That is not to say that it's only ladies who engage in honey trap. It can also be the reverse, just that most often it's the lady who would be used as the object to entice the man into making these mistakes. Now, in the case at hand, the victim was a man called Saul Murray, and he was a 33-year-old man living in the UK, and he was targeted just because of a post that he put out on social media. He put out a post of two Rolex wristwatches, and he was talking about owning these watches. And unknown to him, this post had caught the attention of a team who were engaged in honey trap scheme. So, unfortunately, it would lead to the end of his life, but here are the details of how the whole thing played out. After these people saw the Rolex watches on Instagram when Saul posted it, one lady contacted Saul on social media, and she tried to charm her way to getting his attention, and eventually, when she was successful, she escalated the engagement to a point where she was scheduled to visit him at his flat on Luton Street with another friend of hers. But at the time, Saul didn't know that she would be coming with another person. All he knew was that he had met this lady on social media who thought that he has swag and she was into him. And so she's ready to come to see him and they will have a good time as adults. So this is what Saul thought. But in the minds of the honey trap gang, they were successful. Their honey trap had actually caught something, and they were hoping that they can cash out on this. So the day came, and This person that they used to set up the honey trap was none other than Seprit Dillon, a 36-year-old woman. And when she was going, she went with another person called Temidayo Awe, a 21-year-old woman. Now, the first question I have is, what business has a 21-year-old woman, or lady for that matter, with a 36-year-old woman? The age gap is about 15 years. And looking at the fact that Temidayo Awe would later be unveiled as a Nigerian who was actually studying in the UK as an international student, I wonder what her business was with this 36-year-old woman who, for now, we don't know what she was engaged in as a profession or maybe education-wise. But per the outcome of this case, it's likely that this is what she does, maybe full-time or maybe as a side thing, we don't know. But I think that a younger person at this extent associating with a much older person like this can end in usually one of two ways. She could get so much wisdom, or it could end up in a bad way like this. So Suprit Dillon was the one behind the honey trap online, and she managed to seduce Mr. Saul Murray, and they set up this meet. So come the D-Day, they met, and when they met, she was with her friend, but Saul seemed to be okay, so they hung out, and they gave Saul a sedative called GHB, which is known in popular circles as a date rape drug. And this was after they engaged him in sexual activities. So for Saul, he was probably thinking he might have been having the time of his life because he flexed on social media. Maybe I won't say flexed, he posted something on social media showing he has got swag, he's well-to-do. And from that, he has gotten two beautiful ladies. Because if you look at the picture, you would see that they are beautiful. And that's the pivot of a honey trap. If the person is not beautiful, the trap can't catch anyone. So you look at Suprit, you see that she's really beautiful. And you look at Awe and you see that she's also very beautiful. So in the mind of Saul, he had been successful because they were able to go all out to have a sexual activity and enjoy themselves. But little did he know that they had slipped GHB, that's the dating drug, into his drink some way somehow without his notice. And the intent of doing this was to knock him out so that they can steal these watches from him and maybe any other thing that they would be successful to find around him. And Saul was also alone, so if he gets knocked out, they would have a field day at his place ransacking whatever they wanted to take. Unfortunately for them, and in the long run for Saul, the drug failed to knock him out. And it was at this point that the whole situation would escalate. Because unknown to Saul, although he thought he was just there with these two men, one of them had piggybacked to open the access to his apartment to two other men who were part of the gang. And this is where the whole thing got tricky because, usually with honey traps, the intent is not to kill anybody, it's to get the person in a spot where he has messed up or has compromised his security and his wisdom, and then you take advantage of him or her, and then you get your financial gain, you move. But in this case, the two men that they let in, one of them was carrying a knife. So it's unclear whether it was premeditated or it was an afterthought. But at the point that it was realized that the drug couldn't knock out Saul, these two men came in. And ultimately, they ended up killing Mr. Saul Murray. These two men were in the presence of Ikem Afia, another Nigerian who is 31 years old, and Cleon Brown. So, from posting to Instagram about watches through to falling victim to a honey trap, it had now escalated to a murder and a loss of life. Mr. Saul Murray's body was then discovered with stab wounds on his flat, and nothing could be done to save him because at that point it was too late for him. Police were baffled at this point because they really didn't have much to go on from the onset, but you can trust the police to do a thorough and excellent work, and that was exactly what they did because they were able to later identify the killer by name Afia by a high-end limited edition designer Moncler coat that he was wearing. And like I said, the police will get you. He was spotted on CCTV wearing the distinctive jacket at a KFC joint 2 days prior to the attack. And this jacket cost £1,350. It was a puffer coat type of thing, and he was having just one of the 69 editions sold in the UK. So this also allowed the police the chance to trace the item's delivery to Afia's partner, because tracing 39 deliveries across the country, although it takes some work, at least it's something that is doable, especially given that it would give the police a chance at finding who was responsible for the murder of this man. In addition to this, the gang were also seen later on by police on CCTV leaving Saul Murray's property, and Afia was carrying a large knife as he left the building. So, exactly like I was saying, honey traps are not really meant to lead to murder, and I'm not surprised he was carrying the knife in full view of a CCTV camera when he knows he has just killed someone, and I'm sure he was also dumb enough not to survey the area to know there was even a camera when they were coming in, because that is not their usual MO. But that is my opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe it was just a stroke of hard luck and he slipped up, didn't see the camera, but it ended up being one of the good things because it led to them being arrested and other lives which could have been lost possibly in the future to their schemes being saved. But I think that these guys probably didn't set out to kill this man, but maybe when he couldn't be knocked out, a struggle could have ensued and they had to use the knife. So that was how Afia was caught. And I'll tip my hats off to the police for doing such an extensive work. In addition, the police also used vehicle telematics from the Mercedes-Benz that the gang hired, and this placed the car at the scene of the crime at Saul Murray's house and at Afia's home address, so the connection was that clear. Now, on the other hand, Cleon Brown was seen on CCTV using a vacuum cleaner at a petrol station to clean the car after the attack had taken place. I'm not sure exactly what he was cleaning, but I'm suspecting that maybe they were thinking of getting their prints and other things off the car, and he thought he was wise enough to beat the police on that. It was also revealed in court when these 4 people were actually taken to trial that the Rolex watches that they saw on Instagram on Mr. Saul Murray's handle were actually fake, and that there were also no expensive items in Saul Murray's flat. And in my research, when I came upon this is where I just it's difficult, because it's not that it would be any sad, it would be less sadder if they were original, but it goes to show how people chase things that they think are gold because they are glittering, only to end up with nothing, because not all that glitters is gold. Young as these people are, instead of focusing on building a life for themselves, a clean and non-illegal life for themselves, they are looking at living a life of affluence off the sweat of others by cutting corners and robbing people, and they end up taking the life of a man over watches that even turn out to be fake. On this, some people were also trying to blame Saul Murray, saying that if his watches are fake, why is he flexing online and whatever? I think that is not fair because you can't blame the victim. The fact that he chooses to post something on Instagram which is fake does not warrant somebody deciding to attack him and then take his life for it. That post was not an invitation to treat, and he was not selling the watches on Instagram, so he has not committed any crime in my mind because he didn't try to sell them off as an original watch. He just posted something. For all you know, he also didn't even know that these watches were fake. And like I said, it doesn't make sense blaming the victim. Even if for anything, nobody has the right to take the life of another person just because he posted a fake watch or whatever it is. So I think that this whole thing is just crazy. The watches turned out to be fake. And on trial, a jury found that Afia, who stays at Hackney in London, was guilty of murder following what he had done to Saul Murray. He was the one who actually took his life with his knife. He stabbed him severally. Now, Dylan, the lady used for the honey trap, the one at the center of the scheme. And you look at this lady and it epitomizes the statement that appearances can be deceiving, because you would not associate her with such things when you just look at her. But hey, behind that beauty, there's a whole lot of evil, and it's led to the loss of life of a man, because at this point, she was what actually got him. She was the bait, and she was what was used to lure this man and allow him and them to meet on that fateful night, and his life got lost. Brown was sentenced to 11 years, and Dylan, the center of attraction for Saul Murray, which led to his death, was also sentenced for 10 years. Now, when it came to Temidayo Awe, if you look at the footages, you see her coming all right. You also see, per investigators' findings, that she actually came out afterwards and seemed to either be sending a signal to the rest of the gang to come, or she was doing something on her phone seemingly suspicious, and yet she was claiming that she didn't even know Saul Murray and she didn't know anything about what had been done. But you could tell that this was a clearly planned attack, and it was facilitated by Dylan and most likely Temidayo Awe, and it was carried out by Afia and Brown. But Temidayo got the least sentence. She got 7 years. Now, for me, I looked at this whole story and I asked myself, how long can you continue living your life like this? Engaging in honey trap, robberies, and now even a murder. Even if they hadn't been caught at that point in time, how long can they sustain that lifestyle? No wonder Afia could buy a jacket worth more than £1,000, because assuming the Rolexes were real, assuming they were able to find other valuable things in there, you would see him next time flexing and flaunting. And what annoys me most is most people who are engaged in illegalities to make money, after the illegalities are successful and they are milking from the illegal activities they've done, they will come on social media and start posting motivational messages about working hard for your money. And it pisses me off. This is becoming a trend, especially here in Africa, where people who are so affluent, or let me say some people who are so affluent and seemingly successful and well-to-do and flaunt on social media, begin to type out motivational messages, dish out audio motivational messages about working hard and calling people who are not successful lazy, only to be found out one day that they were engaged in an illegal activity. My advice to you watching this video is hustle hard, put in your grind, do clean work, do legal work, and be content with what you have at any point in time and work towards increasing on it, but doing it the right way. Don't look at somebody and feel like you are a mess or you are a waste or you are a failure because you don't know how they are making their money. That's my 2 cents. But my heart goes out to the family of Saul Murray. He was actually a father of 6. So 6 kids have lost their dad at the hands of this honey trap gang who felt that they had the right to fool this guy and steal his watches just because they can. It doesn't make sense to me. I wish they had gotten harsher sentences. Afia was sentenced to life, but he would have to do 25 years before he would be eligible for parole. But I feel it could have been harsher for the rest. That's my opinion. But we are hoping that the families of Saul Murray would be able to find some justice in the sentencing. Although personally, I feel that it might not be so much of justice, but maybe more of closure because his life has already been lost. The damage has been done and nothing can bring his life back. But hey, we still hope that they find the strength to move on. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so, and leave a comment in the comment section. What do you think about this whole thing, especially for Temidayo, the young 21-year-old lady? You are even in the country as an international student, and this is how you choose to represent yourself and your people back at home, your parents. You can imagine how they would feel when they see the story. We'll catch you another time, and like I say, keep an eye out and stay safe out there, even on social media.